Hello and welcome to the Blessings in the Streets podcast. I am your host, Joseph B. Roberts, and in studio with me this evening is a phenomenal brother. I had the pleasure of meeting a couple of years ago. We've been a part of some men empowerment events, and this brother is a brother of many hats. He's a father, he's a teacher, he's a motivational speaker, he's a coach, but most importantly, he's a man of God. And he's taking time out of his very busy schedule to hang out with us for a little while to share a little bit of his journey with the hopes of inspiring and encouraging and uplifting others, especially when it comes to dealing with challenges and adversities of life. So it's my privilege and honor, ladies and gentlemen, to introduce to you this brother, my friend. We've been trying to make this thing happen for a minute, and we finally got it locked in, and I'm excited to learn more about his journey. So, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, let me introduce to you Mr. Dreifus Sharnezz Hamburger Smith. Thank you, my brother, for being on the show.
Yes, sir. Thank you for the opportunity.
And for those of you wondering why I said hamburger, that's an affectionate nickname we that he introduced me to when I first met him, and that's his signature nickname go to. So we want to give you all the government name as well as the signature name, blending it all together. So
Right.
you got them all locked in. So my brother, again, so glad to have you aboard. It's been a minute. Good to catch up with you, and I'm excited to hear about your journey this evening. So before we jump into our segments, though, I do want to give you an opportunity to share a little bit of snippet about who you are, where you're from, what you do. Kind of give us the audience a taste of who is Dreifus Smith.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Roberts, for an opportunity to just come on this podcast. This is my first one. I apologize for, just putting things off. One thing I said I'm going to do on this year is that I'm going to be consistent and set goals and stick with those goals and stop procrastinating.
Hey,
Sometimes we procrastinate, we miss out on our blessings.
that's right. That's right.
I'm just elated and I'm excited and overjoyed just to kick off year 2025. Just to go in a little bit about myself, I will be brief because I can be long, but I will be brief. I'll start off with my name, Dreifus Sharnezz Hamburger Smith. Now, of course, Hamburger is not my government name, but as I begin to go different places and speak outside of the state of Mississippi, which is my home state, my home, the young people and the audience, they begin to remember Hamburger before they remember Dreifus Sharnezz or even my last name. So some said, hey, you might want to stick to that. So I've been using Hamburger, and I've been calling that my signature go-to statement or phrase ever since 2005 when I entered college at Delta State University in Cleveland, Mississippi. So just to go into what I'm talking about, I told you my name, little bit more history about myself. I'm from Indianola, Mississippi, home of BB King, the legendary. If anybody know about BB King, he's a blues singer. But one day, Mr. Roberts, guess what? People are going to be saying home of Dreifus Sharnezz Hamburger Smith. Hey, I don't just think about the now, I think about the now and the future as
Mm,
well. And the
all
reason
right.
why I say that because I'm working hard. God is putting things on my mind to leave along a legacy for not only my children to walk in, but the generation come to walk in. I'm a father of four. I have two daughters and I have two sons. I have a law enforcement background. I'm now a teacher. This is my first year teaching, and it's a journey. I'm a I'm a seventh and eighth grade history teacher, and I love history. My grandma told me years ago. She said you ought to become a history teacher. When I first graduated from high school back in 2005. I think I'm a motivational speaker. I love people. I love kids. I love God. And I love to just show people that they are more than what they see in the mirror. And that can go a whole nother route. But you ought to remember that you are more than what you see in the mirror. In this mirror, we see is flesh, but there is so much on the inside of us that we can't see, but only you and God can feel and see. That's just a little nuggets right there.
Well, I love that, man. That was an awesome intro, man. And like I said, to know this brother, everything that he said is true and then some. I mean, he's full of personality, like you said, passionate for young people, and has been very active in being that mentor, that man of integrity, that man of character. So you got to have mad respect for that, and so this was an easy decision to have you on the podcast, man. And I'm just excited to be blessed by your story, and I know my listeners will be blessed as well. So we're gonna jump right into this thing, and as is the case with all my guests that come on the show, I always like to remind people that when it comes to our journey, it's really important that we take a moment to reflect on where the beginnings of it started from. A lot of things go on in our younger years, and it doesn't always make sense. Whether it's the experiences that we have, the people that we encounter, it doesn't always make sense back then. But you, being a man of God, understand that as you get older, those pieces start to come together, and now the lights start to come on, and God begins to reveal to you, this is why you had to experience what you experienced. This is why you had to go through what you go through, even in the early stages of childhood. So that being said, if you would, man, kind of take us back to those early days. And if you would share with us, what was it like for you growing up? Fond memories that you have about growing up, as well as if there's any challenges that you care to share that come to mind. You can do that as well. Kind of give us the foundational basis of where your story begins.
Ooh, okay. I'm going to sum it up. I'll start with third grade when I really, and to the listeners, if my eyes go up, forgive me. It's my first time. I'm not used to looking at myself.
You
But
good?
back in third grade, this is when I really knew of evidence that God answered prayers. I was faced with bullying. I was just this happy, overjoyed young man, well, young boy at the time, and I thought that everybody was cool. I thought that everybody was friendly because I came up in a church where we went to church Sunday morning, Sunday evening, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, and come back on Friday. So all we knew is that Jesus loved everybody, and as saints or Christian, we should have that same love. It's a different perspective. And I would walk home with these guys often, and one day this young man approached me and he said, what's up, Dreifus? I said, what's up? And out of nowhere, I'm thinking it's a formal greeting, and this guy hit me in the eye and busted my nose. And when I ran home and told my parents, I was embarrassed at the time because I should have protected myself, but that just wasn't me. That's not my character. So went home and told my family, and they went to the police station. I told my brothers. Now that was a different story. I won't tell that part, but it got handled. But I won't tell that part. So another day, some more guys came up to me. We done straightened this situation out, the first situation. So another situation approached, and the young man said, I got you when you get out of school. So what I did was I prayed to God, because I've been brought up, hey, that God answer prayers. And I prayed to God, and I told God my troubles. I don't remember actually the prayer. I'm 38 now. This is when I was third grade. And this is what happened. The next day, it began to rain. And when it began to rain, that was a sign for me that God answer prayers. And I guess I was probably around, I don't know, roughly 9 or 10 years old, third grade. I can't remember. But that was my first encounter that I can remember where God answered prayers. And to this day, we still have bullying. And it, as a school teacher, it does something to me that we've taken prayer out of school, and a lot of our young people not going to church. But just think about it, if you would have still had prayer in school, you won't have more of the gun violence. You won't have the drugs inside the school. You won't have young people being pregnant even before they get to junior high or high school, but they're being pregnant now in middle school. So the teaching that you and I, Mr. Roberts, had when we was coming up, you don't see those teachers no more. Okay, so that was a third grade experience. All right, fifth grade. You're gonna have to put me on the time, then you may have to pull my
You good?
coattail now.
You good, man?
I'm
Take
trying to
your
walk it.
time. You good?
Okay. So third grade, that is when I first realized that God is real. Okay. Fifth grade is when I began to see that my motivational speaking skills and abilities is needed in the community. I ran for the position for Mr. Carver Elementary School. Okay. If I would have won, well, the winner will be able to walk in the high school carnation. They will be able to ride on the float in the parade, and you will be able to represent your school as a fifth grader. Okay, it was about 10 young men that were candidates for this position during that time. And I went to my older cousin. Her name is Amy Lee, and she was a well profound speaker. She got it from her mother. And I told her to give me some guidance and things in that nature. She gave me some little note cards. That's old school. She gave me some note cards, and I learned that speech, and I learned that speech. I said that speech over in the mirror. And everybody, and when it came to everybody to say their speech and things of that nature, the people before me, the guys before me, they would just say, hey, my name is so-and-so, so-and-so. I'm running for Mr. Carver. I have to adjust this because I'm finna get into it. I'm running for Mr. Carver. And I was like, man, they're kind of plain. You know, they're really not putting any kind of emphasis in this. How do they expect people to get a vote? How do they expect to get a vote? So the classmates had to vote for us. So when it came up to me, I had what did I have on that day? I know I had on a long tie. I had on my white long sleeve shirt, my khakis, and probably some Stacy Adams. I was clean, Doc.
You was clean.
I was clean that day. and when I got up there to speak, and I still do this same setting to this day. I scan the audience and I pick out who to look at, so I won't worry about the strange faces as I'm speaking. So as I began to say the speech, now little known fact, nobody had a speech as your guy Dreifus Smith at that time. So when I got to say my speech, I said it, Mr. Rob, with all that I had, with all that I know. And after I said my speech, I had a standing ovation. I just knew I had it in the bag. I just knew I had won. And when it came to the final ballots, my name wasn't first, wasn't second, wasn't even third. I didn't even place. I was like, what's going on? So at that time, Mr. Roberts, and you can still see it to today, they were not basing on what you could bring to the school or how good you could speak. They was basing the candidates on popularity. Well, during that time, my popularity hadn't got to where it needed to be at that time. So it was just like, Dreifus, you got a great speech. We love what you said. And man, that still bothered me to this day. But what I do is I use it to motivation. So that happened in fifth grade. Now let's go to high school, when I began to use the talents that God gave me as a speaker. Then I started seeing the results. So now we're talking about the process from third grade, when me really realizing who God is by evidence. From fifth grade, recognizing my gift and how it can move people and motivate people. Then from high school to seeing everything come to reality. And from high school to this day, I've spoken somewhere everywhere. Why? Because I didn't let what I thought was a failure at that time cause me to lose what God has already put in me. And look at me today. God has blessed me to be on my first ever podcast. And I can pat my own self on the back and clap my hands. So I'm going to stop right there because I think I took it. But I'm going to stop right there, Mr. Rob.
Oh, no, man. You did. You're doing just fine, man. I don't have you on no clock or anything, but I do appreciate, man, your transparency and sharing what you shared so far in that childhood. Like you said, a powerful message. Just I don't know if you've even paid attention to the title of our show for today. It's quitting isn't the option.
Oh, yeah.
Quitting isn't the option.
Yeah,
and
right.
Just so you already are speaking to the title of the show, quitting isn't an option. Yeah, I started out, like you said, first, my confidence is being shaken because I'm getting bullied. So first I got to deal with that.
Right.
And then, as I'm leaning into God and I'm recognizing his power, his strength, his love for me, he's revealing to me some talents, some gifts, some skills in me that I didn't even know I had. So now your voice is being heard. It's coming out in the form of motivational speaking. And while you had that first experience where you poured your heart out, you had the speech of the year, and it still didn't get you to win, because of your understanding at a very early age and relying upon God and depending upon God and understanding that just because it was a no today doesn't mean that it's a no for tomorrow or the day after
Mm.
that or such. I'm glad to know that you were able to keep that motivation going, keep on building on that experience. And as you said, by the time high school rolls around, that voice is becoming more recognized in the room. It's becoming more heard, more appreciated, and more identified. And then you take that thing on into adulthood, and again, as you said, you've spoken all over the place, to many groups of different sizes, of different settings, and you continue to do your thing. And as you said, I love how you're using some of the more challenging times in life early on to now be of inspiration to young people, which you combine that with just your natural love for wanting to pour into young people is a powerful combination. And and I thank God for that he opened that up in you and that you had the courage to keep fighting and keep going on and embracing that gift, man. And you're using it in a mighty way, and you're just scratching the surface. You still scratching the surface
Right.
right now, and how God is using you, man. And that's a beautiful testament for you to share, and I appreciate you doing that. So so of course, as we you transition through your childhood, you've identified your gift, you're walking in that gift and everything, but along with that, as I'm sure you're already aware, is that comes with life are a series of storms that will cross our paths from time to time. And just like they're there when you're very young, they not only increase in frequency as you get older, but they can also increase in the level of intensity. And so,
Mhm.
with that said, sometimes, those storms can get to a point where you're facing a situation, a moment of adversity where you kind of get in that situation. You're like, how am I going to get out of this? This is
Mm.
a little bit more weightier, a little bit more heavier than what I'm accustomed to doing, even though I'm usually good at navigating my way through some challenging stuff. Every now and then you get that hit to the chest, and it's like, I don't know what to do with this. I can't throw no money at this. I can't make a phone call to get out of this. I can't, call in a favor. I'm just me and this wall of adversity in front of me, and I don't know how to get through it. So with that said, tell us about a time when you found yourself in that type of situation where you didn't see a way out. You didn't know how you were going to overcome that particular moment of adversity. Of course, you're here today, so we're thankful and trusting that God, ultimately made a way for you to do so. But maybe back then you had your doubts. Even with your early upbringing in the church, you might have still had some doubts like, how am I going to make it through this? So if you would share what that story was that you're going to share with us and kind of walk us through what that experience was like, and ultimately, what was the turning point when you began to see some light at the end of the tunnel and coming up out of it?
All right. Okay. I'm gonna try to not get too emotional. Um. So what I'll do is I'll take you to 2017. I'm gonna walk it up. I'm gonna do it real fast. So
Take
in
your time.
2017, uh, God led me to organize my organization called the Fresh Start Community Program. I was already doing the work as a mentor, but he wanted me to go a little farther by putting a title on what I was doing. Um, and I had people in the community to push me. I would name names, but I don't want to mess up, but they know who they are. I had people in the community to push me into this organization. So from 2017 up until now, we've done host of events. We've done non-violent marches. We've done Christmas toy drives. We've done food giveaways. We've done scholarships giveaways. And during that time, I was working in law enforcement. I was working in correction. So I would see daily of people being in bondage, locked down, especially African American men, if I'm able to say. So my outlet was people in the prison saying, they called me Hamburger. They said, Hamburger, go out and tell the young people that there's only four walls in here.
Mm.
You can't shoot and run. You got four walls. And if I can talk like this, Dr. Roberts, they would say, you only got these, and knives. So let them know that it get real up in here. And I've seen so much inside the old prison that my outlet was what I was doing in the community. That is where I got my joy, when I was able to take those stories from prison and then take them out to the community and motivate the young people, hey, to choose the right way. You only got two decisions in life, but only one wrong move can mess up your life forever in certain situations. So all of that was going good, man, going fine. And my last, when 2019 hit, that was our last outdoor event, because most of our event was outside, because we bring in like over 100 people. A lot of people will come out. And this was a time where I brought Mississippi Valley State University. I think I'm able to say that because, they just performed at the presidential inauguration. Shout out to Mississippi Valley State University band. And I brought their band to my community event. Nobody ever done that. They've done a parade. They've done pet rallies outside of college, but they've never been to a community event in Illinois, Mississippi. This event brought roughly probably 1,000 people. So when COVID hit, now that's a whole nother story. We can't go outside. I can't do my community events. I can't motivate nobody I want, them led to do. Why? Because we have to have social distance. Now we're about to talk about some things. So when 2020 hit, I started going into depression. I started going into a place where I did not have an outlet from what I was seeing in the correction. So when 2021 hit, this is when I had thoughts of suicide. And let me clarify that. Not me taking myself out. It was like, if I die, who gonna show up for me like I showed up for them? Like, I was visualizing my funeral. Like, if I'm stretched out, are the same people that I poured into, are they gonna pour into the people that's coming to view my body? I had those thoughts. I had those thoughts of just giving up, because life was pouring down on little old me. And I was like, what did I do to deserve this? And the amazing part of it, Dr. Roberts, I had to go through in order to come to what I'm about to tell you now. 2021, I went through depression. I left the correction. I started working at Jackson State. There was Deion Sanders was there, and man, that was my goal, just to speak in front of primetime. Ooh, I wanted to speak in front of so bad. I wanted to speak in front of so bad, but I didn't get it. But that was my goal. But in the midst of me going through depression, in the midst of me going through those thoughts of dying and who was going to speak before me and motivate people, God was still blessing me, man. I'm talking about I was messed up. I was messed up from the flow up mentally. And I don't even know how it was working, but I know that people were praying for me. I got some praying grandma, I got some praying aunties that was praying for me. And I had a good friend of mine that brought me under his wings. He didn't know what I was going through, but he brought me under his wings. And he said, bro, just come work for me. And didn't nobody know what I was going through, because I didn't want to put my problems or my burdens on somebody else. So when God delivered me from that, and it's so crazy. In that year, we did a nonviolent march in Jackson, Mississippi, in the roughest town town of Jackson. In that year, God led me to run for politics. In that year, we did a Christmas toy drive, and I'm going through. Matter of fact, in 2021, Dr. Roberts, while I was out preparing and buying gifts for the kids in need, my car broke down. I'm at Lowe's, and the motor went out in my car. I said, what's really going on? I'm talking about, it was a rough year. So God took me through that. I went through all that. In 2022, he gave me the vision to have a mental health program.
Mm.
We had in 2022, we had in 2023, we had it on last year. So many people came on last year, like how they said it wasn't enough room in the end.
Yeah.
We did not have enough room in the building to be able to uh, hold the capacity of people. They ran out of food. It was crazy. We were bringing chairs out, didn't have no chairs. It was over 100 some people that were there. I said, man, that's wild. And I said I had to go through that so I can be able to share my story
Mm-hmm.
to help motivate other people. And they came from all outside of Inola to be at that event. So that was one of my lowest points of my life that I can remember. I never knew that I'd go through that. I would see mental illness every day in prison
Mm-hmm.
and working in the hospital, but never knew that I had to face that. But I had to face it for I can be able to motivate somebody else
Yeah.
that, hey, my brother, hey, my sister, you can come out of this thing if you want to. But a lot of time, Dr. Roberts, some will stay in this situation because we don't hold on to the right source.
Mm.
Now I prayed and I also went to a therapy. Okay. But sometimes we go to other sources that can't help us get through what we're trying to get through. And that's why a lot of times we stay in that situation. But I knew how to pray,
Hmm.
and I knew after the praying to have a plan of action. And God brought me out of that. And now I'm able to tell my story on how, if you are in depression, if you are thinking about suicide, that there's a better way. There's a better way of life. It's just a trick of the enemy. I ain't gonna go too much,
No,
That's
man, you good. You are dropping some nuggets on us this evening, man. I mean, well, first of all, you know, thanks be to God that He delivered you,
oh yeah.
in that situation. It's, when I hear people like yourself, what I immediately what comes to mind, and I've even been classified this as myself, is you're an encourager. It's a natural piece of you. To be of an encouraging spirit, but what a lot of times people don't understand when you are in that capacity, in that role of encourager, that every now and then the encourager needs to be encouraged,
Mm,
and not just that, but who does the encourager go to
right.
when he needs to, or he or she needs to be encouraged? Like, because see, everybody's dependent upon you to be the motivator, the hype
Mm,
man, the problem fixer, the way you'll know just the right thing to say and all of that. But then what happens when you in a funk, when
right.
when you going through some stuff, and just I appreciate you sharing, like being in
Mm,
the law enforcement field and being around, prisoners and seeing them in the conditions that they're in. I can only imagine, and I'm glad you shared that, was, just the mental toll
mm,
of you think, well, isn't that mental toll just on the people who are locked up? I mean, they're the ones locked up.
right.
Well, yeah, they're dealing with their mental stuff, but then if you're the one that's in that facility with them, that's your day job, and you're around that environment, all it rubs off, if you will, on you. You kind of embrace it, especially somebody like you who has a compassionate heart. That while you may recognize that these men are here because they committed a crime, that still
Mm,
doesn't take away your compassion for them and your feeling for them. And that's evident that you radiated that, because I'm going back to what you said earlier about, you got prisoners at that time reaching out to you saying, "Hey, Hamburger, would you do this favor for us?
right.
Not could you help us get an extra something on our lunch plate, or can you get us an extra pack of cigarettes, or can you work out a deal to get me up out of here? Can
Mm,
you take a message to the
mm,
streets
that's it.
to let these young brothers know that this is not where they want to end up? Can you do so?" The mere fact that you, as a correctional officer, had that type of bond, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
with men who are behind bars, that they felt open enough and transparent enough to even share their thoughts with you, and having hope in you that you would go out and spread that message on their behalf, since they're not physically out there to be able to do it. I think that's a powerful testimony in itself.
Right.
That God even created that situation. But see, but even to that, it wasn't enough. So
Mm,
so even though you understood, even though you had empathy for these brothers, God, as I'm hearing your story, it was like God said, okay, we gotta take it up just another notch, and I gotta let you experience
Right.
what isolation feels like. I'm not saying I'm gonna have you get locked up, but I gotta let you experience that mental and emotional isolation so you can become even more relatable. It
Mm.
enhances your ability to connect because now you got the stories of the men that you are around every day, seeing them locked up, but then you have a personal experience of what does it feel like when you feel trapped. And the truth of the matter is, when you think about this whole scenario with COVID, your story is not an unfamiliar a condition that a lot of people went through, that isolation of not being able to do the things that they normally get to do. And here you were, one who was one to serve the community, wanting to be out there, and now you had this COVID in your way that stopped you from doing the very thing that was your outlet, was your release. So now where do I go with that? Where do I take it? you know, and so I see it makes sense to me why you felt the way that you did, and it took you into a pit of depression. And then you add in just the nuances of things like my car breaking down and some other random stuff to add on top of that. Yeah, you kind of feel like, well, what's the point? What did I do? I thought I was operating in your will, Lord. I thought I was doing what you wanted me to do to be that role model, to be that mentor, to give back to the community. But I'm not feeling the love right now. But thankfully you understood that it was just a test. And just as we talked about earlier, you embraced the mindset that quitting isn't an option, and you did things like, first and foremost, you stayed in prayer. That's
Yeah.
that's definitely right off the top important. You then also took the opportunity to take advantage of therapy, which, as
Mm.
you know, as black men,
Mm.
has historically not been a thing that we've embraced because it's been always considered a taboo conversation for the community, and particularly for black men. And it's been one of those things that, as black men, we typically have been raised to not even express our emotions and our feelings and things of that nature, because it was always treated as a sign of weakness when we did stuff like that. So we were resistant to doing that. So I applaud you for the seeking of the therapy. I applaud you as a man of faith to continue to trust in God in spite of everything that was going on around you. And as you see in that particular situation, as well as I'm sure many others that you've seen in the course of your life, God came through. He heard your prayer. He made a way. And in time, in his perfect timing, you were able to come up out of that funk, that mode of depression. You were able to resume your works, but now you able to come out of it at an even higher level than what it was prior to COVID. Because not only am I doing what I've been doing, but now I got a story to put behind it, a personal story of my own. I'm not just telling you about some people that I know at the prison or somebody else that I heard. I got my own testimony to tie into that. So it just further enhances, it further grows the ministry that God has placed in your heart to do. And you're seeing the fruits of that labor. You're seeing the works. You're seeing the people receive what you have, and again, to elevate that vision to the point, what, I need to throw the mental health element into this. I need to add that it needs to be more than me just giving out food and toys. I need to tap into people's mental, their emotional, their physical, their financial. I need the whole comprehensive package. And again, this is God placing you on that path of purpose. And I expect that it's going to continue to build and build and build as he uses you more and more in that capacity. So even you transitioning from law enforcement to the classroom, that we hear about people changing careers, but you
Mhm.
don't even traditionally hear, I was once a cop, a correctional officer, and now I'm going to go teach middle school. You don't usually hear that,
Mm-mm.
but so when I look at that, and understanding that you are a man of faith in your relationship with God, God knew what he was doing. He said, yeah, correctional facility, there was a season for that, and that was your job. Now I'm pivoting you more into your purpose, which there's a difference. There's a difference when I'm operating
Mhm.
in my purpose versus me just doing something just to get the check. He's placing you in front of the very people that those prisoners back then told you to reach. You're in those classroom settings now. You get direct access to them to not only stimulate their brains with whatever subject matter, in this case, history, but now I get to be that living example. I get to be a visual, viewpoint, if you will, of what they should aspire or hope to be. Not that you're perfect, not that you got it all figured out, but at least there's a sense of hope for something to them to look forward to feel like, you know what, in spite of what's going on in my community or out in this world or whatever, that I do have an opportunity, I do have a chance, I do have gifts inside of me that I can use out here and be something, to be somebody of greatness, somebody of impact, somebody of purpose. And so, your story is phenomenal, man. And again, I'm appreciating you being sharing as you have and being transparent as you have, because these type of stories we need to hear, and I'm glad that you're being able to be such a presence for our young people as a result of that. So great stuff, man. Great stuff. So when you do find yourself facing challenging times, I mean, you've obviously shared some things that are pretty heavy, pretty weighty, but as you know, sometimes it's like that, and then other times it's just the day to day nuances that we're dealing with. I'm curious to know from you, what is it? What is it that you like to do that kind of helps you process through challenging and difficult times when you find yourself in those situations, no matter what the level of intensity is? What works best for you? If it's one of them days that this happened, I'm facing this issue, this challenge. What works for you that lets you do it in a healthy way and process through to work out that challenge or that situation?
I have several things. I'm kind of weird in a way. Um, Sometimes I will go outside and I will look at nature, and I would think like, if God can provide for the fowl and beasts of the air,
Hmm.
with the fowl of the air and the beasts of the field, in other words, birds and animals, then why won't He do more for me? When I am a living soul. I look at nature and I look at God's creation to give me motivation, to give me insight. Sometimes I will look at the smiles of other people
Mm-hmm.
and attach to what joy they got, and that would help motivate me. Sometimes I will ride around town, and the last time I do it, if I can remember, I saw a father. He had 3 kids, and I was getting ready to buy food for my own kids, and he had 3 kids, and they were sharing a chicken bone, piece of chicken. Had about 3 kids. And I said, man, I'm straight. I'm good. My kid good. So I went up in the store and I said, Father, I said, come, Father. And what I did was, by the grace of God, God had me to put me in a position where I was able to provide for them. That right there give me joy. And when I was going through my depression back in 21, I pulled over to the side of the road and I saw a man that was homeless. And I asked him for a sense of direction. And he gave me direction, I'm talking about accurately. And he had a big smile on his face. I was on my way to work at Jackson State. I think I had about $2 in my pocket. And I was like, these last $2, like this, I'm gonna use these for the snack machine or something. And I just asked him a question out of curiosity. I said, why you so happy? Me looking at the book, judging the book by the cover. I said, man, what make you so happy? He said, look, yo. He said, man, I ain't got no bills to pay. I ain't got to worry about nobody bothering me. He said, man, I'm good. And when I say this guy was just so joyful in the position that he was in, he was either walking or riding a bike, and I got a whole car. And I'm worrying about my $2 when I got a check coming. This guy don't know when his next check or next meal coming. He said he just joyful. It's things like that motivate me to keep going, that motivate me to keep inspiring, to keep motivating. Like my brother told me, he said they may not get it now, but somewhere down the road, they gonna remember the teachings that you giving them. So it's moments like that, bro, that gives me joy. And then when I just think about how good God is, how he fed the 5,000 with 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread. Sometimes the enemy, he'll try to throw you that way, but when you walking that lifestyle, when you can just think about the goodness, it'll motivate you. You're gonna have your ups and downs. You're gonna have your good days, your bad days. But when your good can outweigh your bad, that's something to give God for. And another thing that I would do, I would go on social media. That's why I kind of like social media. I would go on social media and I will look at the things that God had blessed me to do over the years. The
Mm.
people that He's blessed me to be able to bless, and the songs. I'm a songwriter as well. I write gospel. Dr. Norwood, who used to sing with Shirley Caesars,
Mm-hmm.
singing one of my songs. And I
Okay.
would look at moments like that. Um, and that would uplift my spirit. That would motivate my day. And speaking, I have a significant other that won't let me be down.
Mm.
I'm not married yet, but she's my significant other. That's a professional term. she's my significant other. I'm praying that it works out. But she motivates me, Doc, and she inspires me. And I tell young men that's being an entrepreneur, young men that just in the dating world, find you somebody that gonna support you at your lowest,
Yes.
and
Yes.
find you somebody that gonna support you when you on your mountaintop.
Mm-hmm.
Because when the relationship don't work out, that can be a hindrance on your blessing, that can be a hindrance on your journey. And I'm so glad that I found her, and she is the one that keep me upbeat. She is the one that keep me on my fasting and praying and abstaining from things. So we're practicing abstinence, and dang, I'm getting off topic,
Are you good?
but we supposed to do it anyway. But can I be transparent? Before I met her, I'm off topic, Doc. But before I met her, man,
Take your time. Take your time.
but yeah, you just gotta be real. You gotta be real. So even though I was doing these things, Doc, I wasn't. hmm, I wasn't always just walking the way I was supposed to be walking. Uh, well, you understand, but I'll just say it for the viewers. I wasn't always living the lifestyle that God ordained for me to live.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but man, when I met her, I put everything to the side.
Mm.
I realized, and I'm not ashamed to say it, but I realized that I was a man when I can be with just one.
Mm. Say that.
That's when I realized that I can put the shirt down in my pants, put a belt around my waist, and pull my pants up and walk as a man.
Mm-hmm.
When I was able to be with just one, and I would say that even if it don't work out, I want it to work out, but if it don't work out, the lessons that I have learned and I'm learning in this is going to push me to be better in the next. So, man, when she came into my life, I would come with uh, my days of bad news and my down days, and she would just motivate me. She'll ask me, she'll be like, well, did you wake up 5 a.m. like I told you and spend time with God? Did you read your word today and things? And we are not perfect, but we strive for perfection. And I can't do this podcast without including her, because she helped me become the man that I am today. When I first met her back in 2024, it was in December. First time meeting her. And it was just something about her. It was something about her. And I let everything go. I'm talking about I just went cold turkey. I let everything go. And I said that I want to be of something uh, with her. And we, hold on. No, that was in 23. um, we made it official on January the 1st. Or what have you. So we've been together over a year now. And I can't leave her out because she's seen a lot within that year of what a lot of people don't see. A lot of people just see, how can I say it, the good side,
Mm-hmm.
but she sees all of all of me. And she said, and I'm sorry, please forgive me. And she said that I'm gonna let you know this. I practiced abstinence, and I wasn't practice abstinent at that time. She said I'm practicing abstinence. She said that that's the only way this gonna work out. And I just made up my mind cold turkey. Didn't know how I was gonna turn out. Now I've been brought up in the church all my life, and I know I supposed to been practicing this. And, and I didn't know how it was gonna turn out. And now let me put this in here. I didn't break mines until I was 21 years old, so I held on a long time. But I broke it so so when I met her, she told me that she said I'm practicing abstinence. I said okay, I really like you. It's just something about you, and I just kept my focus on her, and man, she is the one that keeps me lifted up. We go to church together. We fast and pray together. We read our word together. When she don't have an answer, or I don't have an answer, we go and search and find it. And she is one of the main reasons of how lately uh, that I've been able to just stay afloat and stay focused and
Mm.
don't get down, because I went through an incident um, on last year. I went through something, and man, it hurt me. I was collaborating with some people, and the people broke away from me, and we was had to do a big event, and that hurted me dearly. And she was just like, you just got to keep going. Are you gonna do it, or you not gonna do it? And God multiplied that.
Mm.
He multiplied that event, and man, we had so much that we was able to do 3 cities and spread love and joy into the hearts and minds and in the eyes of youth. So can't call her name, right? She don't want to be public, but but man, she man, yeah, yeah. She inspires me, she motivate me, and she pushed me. If I had a microphone, I believe. I don't know if she'll do it public, but I know she'll probably say it later on, baby. You show preach today. Um, so yeah, yeah, I had a moment. I'm sorry.
No,
Yeah, I
no,
had
you
a moment.
no apology needed. You did what I asked. We talked about before the show started.
Mhm.
Is I wanted you to share as God led you.
Right,
You were
right.
talking about one thing. God led you to share that, and it's not because you got off track. It's
Hmm.
because God put it in your heart that this needed to be
Right.
said. And
Yeah.
and I'm in agreement with that. Not that he needed my approval, but I'm in agreement with that because for you to speak about having that special someone in your corner, man, that this just isn't just a girlfriend, somebody I'm just seeing, but I got a woman who I love dearly, but who's concerned about my overall well-being, who
Mm.
again trying to do things the right way, decent and in order, not only in the area of abstinence, but then just my prayer partner, my
Right.
you know my companion when we go to church together. She's my support, my encouragement. When I'm feeling down, she reminds me that quitting isn't the option. She
Man.
reminds me that that I got gifts that I need to keep on pressing forward, even if I get some disappointments along the way when people don't show up like they're supposed to, when people let you down, because that's God tells us that to expect that this is just the world that we're in. Man will disappoint you, woman
Mm.
will disappoint you, but He will never disappoint you.
Right.
And she's just there to be that extra reminder. Remember, I said earlier, every now and then the encourager needs to be encouraged.
Yeah.
You you know, I mean, and we've heard the songs and we've heard the message. Sometimes you just got to know how to encourage yourself. And while there is some truth to that, I can only
Mhm.
encourage me so much.
So
Sometimes I
much.
need somebody else that I can trust, who values who I am, to
Right.
be of that encouragement to me, to let me know, to remind me, just in case I have a lapse,
Mm.
just in case I'm in a little bit of a funk right now, that can kind of lift my spirits up and keep me strong and motivated. So I'm thankful that you have that special someone in your life, and I pray over that relationship that it blossoms into what you
Mhm.
hope it to be, and that
Right.
again, there for you to have, and I just let me comment just to my audience. I appreciate your realness, man, because this is real stuff. I mean,
Right. Right.
whether you grew up in the church or not or whatever, we all fall short. This is a no judgment zone on you, man. So
Mhm.
yeah, the flesh becomes weak sometimes, and sometimes it recalls for us to make decisions that, when we think back in retrospect, we say, yeah, I probably shouldn't have did that, but I did.
Yeah.
Okay, but it doesn't. Again, it doesn't mean that it's over for me. It doesn't mean that there's no chance for redemption, no chance for bounce back, no chance. And that's what's beautiful about being in a relationship with God, because He can see us fall down, and instead of laughing at us, instead of poking fun of it at us, instead of dismissing us altogether, He extends His hand to get us up, dust us off, and says, "All right, don't worry about it, my brother. Don't worry about it. You dust it off. We're gonna try this again. We're gonna get it right. We're gonna keep on doing it until you get it together." And that's the beauty of God, and that's why it's so important for those who don't understand what it means to be in relationship with Him. That's one of the many benefits that you have, is that He's gonna be there. He's not gonna turn your back on you just because you made a mistake. He'll take that situation, he'll take those circumstances, and show you the lesson to be learned in it, so that next time around you'll do better next time. You'll grow
Mm.
from that. You'll mature from that. And the maturity is dripping all off of you, man. You're learning from these lessons, you're learning from these trials, you're learning from these moments. And at the same time, you're pouring it back into other people. God is using you as that vessel to do that work. So sometimes we have to go through what we go through, even if it's self-inflicted stuff. Sometimes we
Mm.
got to go through what we go through, but God knows how to take those dark moments, those dark days, those slip ups, those mess ups. He knows how to flip that thing and make a miracle out of it, to make a blessing out of it. And that's what He's doing through you, man. And so no apologies needed. No, you didn't talk too long. You didn't get off track. You said what needed to be said in that moment. But to the question, I appreciate how your approach. Even you started off with, I know I'm a little weird. No, you're not. You just built different. That God uses for each one of us. There's no one right way to process challenging times. But I respect what you say about the whole nature thing. Even though I'm not a nature person by
Mm.
nature, in terms of wanting to sleep out in the woods or anything like that. Sometimes nature is about. Sometimes it's just taking that walk and
Mm.
just, like you said, catching your breath and taking it all in. That every morning I take my dog for a walk, and I promise you that that's usually the prime time that I talk to God, is during that
Mm.
walk. Whether it's in prayer, whether I'm just talking out loud to Him about whatever's on my heart, and as you said, and then you combine that with just remembering back to the other times when you were in a jam and a tight and a fix, and you saw how God worked that thing out. And so when you have those victories in mind, those thoughts of testimonies, if you will, to reflect on, it's a reminder to you that, yeah, you're going through something now, but what about all those other times before? What did He do then? Didn't
Mm.
He make a way out of no way then? When you thought it was impossible, when you thought that there was no shot at it, didn't He work that thing out? So what makes you think anything different now? As you shared earlier, if He can take care of the animals and the birds in the sky and everything else, if He does that, and the Bible speaks to that, if He
Mm.
does that for them, why would you think He wouldn't do it for you? Like,
Exactly.
why would it be so difficult to do that for you? You just got to have faith and trust in that, and lean on Him to deliver you through those moments. No matter how crazy it may seem, chaotic it might feel, have your moment, of course. Process, get out of your system, whatever that is. If you need to cry, you need to yell, you need to scream, you need to punch a bag, whatever that is, get it out. Just don't stay stuck there. Just
Mm.
don't stay stuck in that moment. Go to your prayer. Go into prayer with God. Lay it all out on Him. He already knows, but that doesn't mean that He still doesn't want to hear you voluntarily put it out there. And then from there, just watching Him work. letting him do his thing through you, letting him work that thing out, and doing it in a way where, when it comes down to it, nobody will be able to take credit for it, because he just does it in just such a way that all you can do is say that wasn't nothing but God that did that. So thank you so much for sharing that, man. So my brother, when if you had an opportunity, I mean, one of the main topics that you talked about in one of your greatest storms of life was that, that bout of depression, that feeling of isolation that you were exposed to on a day-to-day basis, in doing the work that you were doing in corrections. The truth is, man, we have some listeners on this episode, man, and some of which are going through their bout of depression right now, for whatever the reason. They are
Mhm.
in that funk of depression, maybe even having suicidal thoughts, feeling like, there's no hope, just ready to just throw in the towel and give up altogether on whatever that situation is. If you had a chance to offer up some words of encouragement to that person who's battling right now in that space, they're in that spirit right now of depression and don't see a way through, don't see a way out, what would be your words of encouragement and inspiration to them, to let them know that, to not let this thing that we know as depression to get the best of them and defeat them, and that there is hope to come up out of it? What would you say to them?
Hmm. First, I would say, don't just think about you, but think about the other people you would hurt, that love you, or people that you don't even know care about you. Um, Oftentimes people fall into depression or have suicidal thought because they feel like they're not being heard. They feel like they're not being loved. They feel like people don't care. But man, my brother, my sister, trust and believe somebody care about you. Trust and believe you are hurt more than you can ever think or imagine if you continue to go into depression, or you continue if you attempt to take yourself out. And number one, God loves you. Even if you feel like you're in this world all by yourself, know that God loves you. And if you can't think about anybody else you will probably hurt, just think about him. It would make him hurt. It would make him cry. It would make him feel sad. A lot of people just think God just all joyous and things like that, but he hurts. He cries. He feel our pain, especially when we are thinking about injuring ourselves, or just continuing to just fall into the sin. But just have hope that there is a better day. Just have hope that God will, not that he can, but he will shine on your thoughts, shine on your life, shine on your behavior, and that there is somebody out there that loves and depend and care for you. When I was going through my situation of depression, um, I didn't have a church home in that area. And I said, God, I want a church home that have kids. And I rode around a neighborhood in Jackson, Mississippi. And for some reason, this church had a picnic full of kids.
Mm.
And that community, that church, those people took me in and welcomed me with unfavoring love and care, and they didn't even know me. He just went off what I said. I just said, man, I love kids, man. I like your church because I love kids. And when I would go to the church, he would say, brother, you don't sit in the back. You come up here to the front. And that preacher would call me every day like I was his son. He called me so much, I was like, Lord, he calling me again. Because God put on his heart to put him in my life in that season that I really needed him the most.
Mm.
So to the listeners, to the viewers, don't give up. Don't lose hope. Don't give up on yourself, but push through. Yes, it gonna hurt. Yes, you're gonna have times where you're gonna cry. Yes, it gonna feel like you're praying, but God ain't listening. But I guarantee you, he's listening. I guarantee you that he will send somebody to minister to you. He's gonna send somebody that's gonna love and care for you. You might not even know who the person is, but God always have angels working in the midst on our behalf. Everybody got an angel attached to them. All you got to do is just call on him. And man, he'll wrap you in his arms where you can just rest. I might be going through. I don't know how my next meal is, but God will give you comfort in your sleep.
Mm.
Sometimes he'll allow a dream of comfort, a dream of love just to come and just let you know that my brother, my sister, everything is gonna be all right. See, the thing in life, we feel like sometimes we feel that we don't supposed to go through anything. We don't go through something because life is already not fair. So we all gonna go through something. I don't care if you high class, lower class, middle class. Think about what happened in LA. Most of those homes was owned by people that were millionaires and billionaires. And just because they got money, you think they wasn't hurt? They lost things that money could not buy.
Mm-hmm.
So it don't matter what level you on. We all gonna have to face something, but the victory come when you can get what you are going through. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. Yes, you might can't see it right now, but keep on going. Keep on walking. Keep on talking. Find somebody that you can trust. I prefer getting professional help, a therapist. Okay, pray to God. He'll lead you to that therapist. Find you a good, loving church home. See, that's the thing, Dr. Roberts. We don't really teach about the church's comfort. Okay,
Mm.
to the I don't know who all your viewers are, but in the African American community, one of the reasons how we made it out of slavery is that it was in the church. It was in the church of how we came out of what we was being oppressed in. It was the church that stood before the community. So we got to get back to our solid foundation and quit looking for every other source, but get back to your solid foundation. I guarantee you that God will bring you out what you're going through. Don't give up. Don't lose hope. Just keep on walking and keep on talking. What that song say? We shall overcome. It said we shall overcome. What is someday? We shall overcome someday or one day, and we have overcame. How? Because the people kept walking.
Mm.
The people kept praying. The people kept marching. And look what we got now. We got African Americans in the White House when it was a time when they weren't even allowed in the White House. We got African American teaching school on higher level when it was a time when we couldn't even read or write. We were being persecuted just for trying to learn how to read and write. So if our ancestors can make it through, then why do you think that you can't make it through? It's
Mm.
all just a trick of the enemy. But you got to know that you know that you know. And if you didn't know, guess what, Doc? They know now.
There we go.
I'll leave it like that. Man.
There we go. There we go. Man, you have blessed us today.
Yes, sir.
So appreciative, man. So thankful for all your transparency, for all your sharing, man. We needed this. I have been blessed. I know my listeners have been blessed, man. And God's favor is all over you, and I'm just loving the way that He's using you. Accordingly, man, you keep holding on to that, remembering your own words. Quitting is not the option. It
Yes, sir.
isn't an option, and
Tell
just
you.
sharing that message with the young people, man. He's placing you in this position, man, to just continue to pour, and that pouring is never going to stop, man. And I'm just excited for all that He has done in your life, and what He's going to do. Because, like I said, He's just getting started with you, just getting started, and you're just a blessed brother, and I'm pleased to have gotten the chance to meet and know you, and call you friend, man. So I'm thankful so much for you taking the time out to be a part of this podcast, man, and sharing as you've shared. But as is customary here at the Blessings in the Streets podcast, before I let you go, I do want to take an opportunity, man, to celebrate you, to love on you, to acknowledge you. So if you got something going on now or coming up, professionally, personally, and or both, Please share with us, man. What's happening with Hamburger? What you got going on? What's coming up that we need to know about, celebrate, lift up in prayer, connect with? I mean, let us know what's happening with you, man. What's going down?
Yes, sir. In the month of May, which is Mental Health Awareness Month, we will be celebrating our annual mental health program that would happen in the month of May, and I'll get you that date, Dr. Roberts, so you can share with your listeners. And this year, we're gonna try to go live. We're gonna try to go live so that people can tune in and see what is going on. That event will take place uh, in Indianola, Mississippi. And if you want to follow me, you can uh, follow me on my Facebook, Sharnezz Smith on Facebook. If you want to follow me on Instagram, it's Sharnezz Smith. And if you want to follow me on TikTok, it's Sharnezz Smith. And you can see some of the things that I have done in the past. And my organization name is Fresh Start Community Program, and you can type that in on Facebook as well, and you'll be able to see some of the events and things that we have done here in the southern states.
That is awesome, man. Great work that you're doing. And again, listeners, he's giving you the information on how to connect with him. And even if you're not in the Mississippi area, if you want to be a blessing to the work that he's doing, I'm sure he can give you guidance accordingly. You reach out to them on how you perhaps can donate, contribute, or whatever. Because it doesn't have to be limited to just that area for us to be an extending arm of giving and support. And at the very minimum, you can keep him lifted in prayer in all that he's doing and the works that God is using him accordingly for, because it's a work that's needed. It's a work that's needed, and to have brothers like him at the helm of it, being guided and directed by God, man, is a beautiful thing. And so I'm very proud of you, man, and wishing you nothing but success in everything that you touch and everything that you do. And again, continued God's favor all over you and your life, man, and in every facet and form of it, Lord. That I ask of you to do that for him. Because this is a good brother. This is a good brother, and you're doing some mighty works through him, and we don't want to minimize that in the least bit. This is why we take this opportunity to celebrate, to acknowledge, man. Much blessings to you and yours, man. So keep up that good work. And for my listeners, if you've enjoyed our conversation today, you enjoy what we're doing here, please share, please subscribe, please comment, please like, because of Blessings in the Streets podcast, this is what it's all about. We want to encourage, we want to uplift, we want to inspire, being raw, being real, sharing our stories, being transparent and vulnerable, with the hopes that you might be able to take something from it, some nugget here, some gem there that you can apply directly to your own lives. Because the reality is, we all face adversities of some fashion or form. We go through depression, we go through all kind of trials and tribulations of life, and sometimes we don't know how to work that thing out. We don't know how to navigate it through, and we might feel a sense of isolation. We might feel like we're alone, but we're here to tell you, and my brother shared with you earlier, you're not alone. That there's somebody out there who cares about you, that wants to see you do well, that wants to see you succeed, whether you realize it or not. There are people out there that you haven't even met yet that are counting on you. That God is already setting that thing up. So you got to keep fighting. You got to remember that quitting is not the option. You got to keep pushing forward in spite of the challenges and the obstacles, because the enemy wants you to quit. He wants you to just throw in the towel every time it gets hard, every time it gets inconvenient, every time it gets difficult. Don't fall victim to that. Know that there's a loving God who wants nothing but the best for you. And if you don't currently have a relationship with him, I'm sure my brother will co-sign on me with this and saying that today is a mighty fine day to
Oh
make that happen. And so I promise you, if you choose to do so, if you haven't previously done that, it'll be the greatest decision that you ever make. And we're not telling you something that we heard. We're telling you something that we know from personal, firsthand experience of what that relationship looks like. So with that said, remember here at the Blessings in the Streets podcast that this is the place where your story is your glory, where your relationships are relevant, and your journey is your joy. I am your host, Joseph B. Roberts. Thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, keep fighting that good fight. Remember, quitting is not the option. Press forward, press hard, pray regularly and often to our Lord and Savior. God loves you. He wants you to do well. He wants that relationship. He wants your dependency on him. because he has so much for you, so much in store for you. And understand that those storms that you're going through, don't look at them as negative events. These are opportunities that God has allowed to come down your street, not to destroy you, but to build you up, to strengthen you, to increase that endurance level. Think of it as a spiritual workout that he's doing for you, because he's setting you up to be able to do the great works that he's already using, those gifts that he's already placed inside of you. So don't resist. Just lean on him for that guidance and direction, and rest in his comfort and his peace, and he will show you the way. He will guide you through all of those moments. It's not worth giving up. It's not worth calling it a day. Just hang in there and know that he loves you, and he will be there to be that way maker that you need him to be. So until next time, you take care of yourselves. I look forward to seeing you again. Have a great rest of your day.